Hi everyone. Today we're going to read the story Ben Rides On. And this story is by Matt Davies. Now that he had the bicycle of his dreams, Ben Lucan loved going to school. With his gleaming new machine, he could take the long way. Or perhaps the very long way. And maybe even the very, very long way. It was arriving at school that Ben hated. Sadly, Adrian Underbite, perhaps the world's largest third grader, didn't seem to like Ben very much. But Adrian did like nice things. After watching Adrian ride off on his prized possession, Ben was devastated and late for class. As his teacher explained that the earth revolved around the sun, Ben's thoughts revolved around his bike and seeking revenge against Adrian. Do you see this storm cloud? That shows how mad he is. Revenge means that he wants to get back at Adrian. When the school bell finally rang, Ben began his journey home on foot. He hadn't gone far when he heard a very peculiar sound, which caused him to launch an immediate investigation. Whereupon he quickly discovered his stolen bike. And also Adrian, who happened to be in a significant spot of trouble. How extraordinarily terrible, Ben thought to himself. What else do you think he's thinking? Why do you think he's smiling? Ben dusted off the bent-up bicycle and continued on his way, satisfied that Adrian would perilously dangle from a tree branch for all eternity. But something made him stop. And just when Adrian thought he could not hold on any longer, a very familiar green and white hoodie appeared. Adrian reached up and grabbed on for dear life. Hauling the big galoot proved to be a challenge. But Ben pulled Adrian to safety with some help from a friend. I wonder why Ben changed his mind and decided to help Adrian. Exhausted, Adrian slowly rose to his size 10 feet and appeared momentarily to be quite puzzled. What do you think he's puzzled about? Then suddenly, without warning, he lunged like an airborne walrus toward his rescuer. While Ben braced for the horrible impact, Adrian made off with the damaged bike. Ben couldn't believe it. Worn out and feeling a bit sick, he turned and headed for home. Ben didn't get much sleep that night. The following morning, he still had only one thing on his mind. The very thing that someone had carefully leaned against his front gate. And it had been repaired almost perfectly. The end. I hope you enjoyed that story. I like the way that the bully in the story was changed. Well, now I would like to show you some shapes. So I have here some two-dimensional shapes and what we call three-dimensional shapes. So let's look at this square. The square is a two-dimensional shape. It has a length and a width, but it doesn't have any height. It's just flat. This shape has squares on every side, but all together we call that a cube. A cube has length and width and height. 3 dimensions. Square, cube. Now over here we have a rectangle, which is 2-dimensional, length and width. And this is a rectangular prism. It has rectangles on 4 sides. 2 of its sides have squares. But it has length and width and height. So it's 3-dimensional. Here we have a circle, which is flat, and we have a sphere, which is like a ball. Here's our triangle shape. And if we put the triangles together, we have a prism. This one's a triangular prism because it has a triangle also on the bottom. And this one's a square prism with a square on the bottom. This is a flat shape, which is an oval. We don't have a 3-dimensional ovoid. But if you look at this shape, you can see a circle on the top and the bottom. If you turn it over, it can roll. This is called a cylinder. And then this one, easy to remember, just think of ice cream in it. It's a cone shape. And you can see a circle on the bottom of that too. All right, well, I want you to come over here now and see I built something from all of my shapes. So to make my building, I used some cubes, some rectangular prisms, and I used cylinders, and I used cones. So now if you have some shapes like this at home, you can also make a building using those 4 shapes. And then we're going to do a little graph of our shapes. If you don't have these shapes at home, you could use different shapes from your blocks, or you could just draw a picture of it. Now that I've made my building though, I'm going to take it apart because I need to count all the pieces. So I'm going to sort the pieces, and I'm going to put my cones together here. And I'm going to put my cylinders, I'll put them over here. And, oh, another cylinder. And then, let's see, I'll put my cubes here. All together. And then I'm going to put my rectangular prisms back here. All right. Oh, I've got another cube in my hand here. Okay. So now, on our graph, the first shape is a cube. So let's count our cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First, I'm going to write the number 6. And then I'm going to color in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and next we have the cylinders. So let's count how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to write the number 7, and then I'm going to color 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And next is our cones. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to color 1, 2, 3, and 4. And last we have our rectangular prisms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Write our number 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now down here it asks us which has the most. So if we look at our graph, we can see that the most is cylinders. So I'm just going to circle the cylinder. We can also look at our numbers and know that 7 is the greatest. Now it says which has the fewest. If we look on our graph, we can see that the cone has the fewest with only 4. So we're going to circle the cone. Here we go. And then down here it says write a sentence about the graph. So we can look at that graph and think what we want to say about it. So we could say that the graph shows that we have the most cylinders. Or we could write a sentence that says the graph shows that we have 6 cubes. Or we could even say that the graph shows that we have 4 cones and 5 rectangular prisms. So altogether that makes 9. So there's a lot of different information that we can find out from our graph, and we can write that in our sentence. Have fun building something with your shapes.